Hello, in this video we're going to demonstrate Carbon Checker by working through a complete project. So we'll start Carbon Checker. When it starts, you're asked to select a way to start. For this we're creating a new project, so we're going to click on that radio button and then click OK. Carbon Checker will now ask for a name for the new project, so we'll enter a name and again click OK. Carbon Checker will now continue loading and will first of all ask you if you want to use the project wizard, which takes you through things step by step. In this case we're not going to use the wizard, so we'll turn that off. You now see the full Carbon Checker screen. At the top, as in any Windows program, you find menus with various options and below those tool buttons. Down on the left hand side you'll see the stages you need to complete in a project, including construction settings and heating systems, etc. These will turn green as you complete them. When all the buttons have turned green, the Run SBEM button at the bottom will allow you to do just that and run the calculation. As you add the details of the building, all the information about different walls, windows, floors and ceilings will be added in this area here. The final area, this large area over here, is where you actually enter the main data and the geometry to build up your building. So let's get started by putting in some of the background information in the project settings. We'll now get a pop-up box in which we need to enter data. You'll see the project name is remembered from before, and the type of calculation defaults to building regulations in England and Wales. We're going to be doing an EPC, so we'll click on that and choose an England EPC in this case. When we do that, you'll see that the stage has defaulted to as built, as you need to do that for the EPC. So we now need to choose our type of building, and for this we're going to be working on an office. So we'll click Office. When you've done these here, you can then move over to the right hand column and choose the weather area. You need to know and fill in the power factor for the building, and then you can look at the National Occupational Standards level, either 3 or 4 in Carbon Checker. For this one we're looking at 3. We'll now move down to the bottom to fill in more details about the building. So we now need to add address details. In this case we're putting in fictitious details, and because of this it means that we don't have a unique property reference number, so we're going to make up one for the purpose of this demonstration. And now we've done that, we'll move on to enter the owner details. So next we need to move on to the certifier details, and you also have to fill in the sub-tabs for related party disclosure and insurance. You need to enter your assessor number, which is 4 capital letters followed by numerals, and you'll find that as you add these there's a red warning signal. When you've finished it completely, the signal goes off. You can also add your accreditation scheme. Once you've done this, you can add the qualification level of the person who'll be doing the assessment. You then need to add the trading name of the company they work for and the trading address. Then once you've added the addresses, you can go to the related party disclosure, and if you don't have any, you type none. Then click on the insurance tab, put in your insurance company and the actual policy number, fill in the dates from the policy, and then put in the value of the insurance. And I'd suggest here that you actually type it in rather than using the arrows, because you usually need to add quite a large number. The other tabs here relate to district heating and thermal bridges for either metal cladding or non-metal cladding. We're going to accept the defaults on all of these. And now the project settings has gone green because everything's correctly entered. We're now going to click on Wall Constructions. We'll get a pop-up and we're going to add a new external construction type. We need to put in a name. We have three ways of entering information. We could import from the library, we could use inference procedures, or we can directly input new values. We're going to use the library. We'll choose Cavity Wall Full Fill under Part L Regulations 2006. Click OK. Then we need to add internal constructions. Give it a name. Frame as a category, and then timber frame stud from the library. We'll click OK twice. And then we'll be ready to move on to the next step because Wall Categories has turned green. We press the floor and ceiling construction. Again, we need to add a floor. We're going to make it a solid ground floor. So type in the name, choose the type of construction, and again it's to Building Regs England and Wales 2006. Click OK. We now need to add internal constructions. So again, we'll type a name, and again choose the type of construction. And click OK. The floor and ceiling button now goes green. The next thing to do is the roof. I'm going to add a new roof, and we'll do a pitched roof. And again, this will be to Building Regulations 2006. And we'll click OK. And move on to the door construction. And yet again, we need to click Add and put in a type of door. We'll choose a personnel door, and it's insulated, and we'll click OK. If we needed to, we could add other types of construction here, but we won't. We'll click OK and move on now to glazing, where we'll add a window type. We'll choose the type of glass and a hardwood frame. And again, click OK. And moving on, we now come to the HVAC, or heating system if you like. Again, we need to add a type. We'll simply call this heating. It's a modern building. We're going to make it underfloor heating. And for the various different types you use, we're going to have an air source heat pump. And we're going to power this by electricity from the grid. For the seasonal efficiency, we could press the Get button to get the default value, but we're going to enter our known value of 3.5, which is fairly standard for this type of heat pump these days. Now, if you had a cooling system, you could go up to the tab up here and enter information about that. And similarly, if you had ventilation, you could enter information, and the other tabs here also have places to put in information. But we've just got heating, so we'll click OK twice and move on to enter information about the hot water system. We'll have a standalone system, and we're going to have an electric system. And because it's a new build, it's post 1998. And we have the option to have a storage system, but this one isn't. Once again, we can either get the seasonal efficiency or we can enter it manually, and that's what we'll do here. And then we'll click OK. If appropriate, you can now enter information about renewable energy systems. These could be solar thermal, photovoltaic, or wind turbines. but we don't have any on this building, so we'll just click OK to come out of this. So now we're going to add the geometry of the building. We've got a small office block with a kitchen area and a toilet area. Up here we can do a perfect rectangle with this tool here, which will suffice for the toilet block. If we want to use a more complicated structure, we can use this freehand button here. In order to make it easy to do the measurements, I've turned the grid on by pressing this button here, which allows you to snap to grid measurements. With the rectangle tool on, we'll move to the origin, press down the left mouse button and drag to the size we want. If you look at the bottom of the drawing area, you can see the exact measurements of the walls. We're on click to grid, so when we let go, it will jump to one of the grid points, and then we'll get a pop-up box to fill in the details of the name that we want, and also we can look at the zone sizes. Click OK and move on to add the next, which is the kitchen area. Now we'll enter the tea making area. Again, click and drag for a 4 meter by 4 meter rectangle. Enter the zone name, and again we don't want to amend any of the measurements. So we now have two zones side by side. We're now going to enter the final zone, and this time we're going to use the freehand tool. We're going to start down at the origin, click on the left mouse button, move the mouse to 5 meters out here, which is the length we want, and click the mouse button again. Then we're going to go up for 15 meters and click again. Move to the next corner, click again, and we move down to near the T area, click again, and this final click here, and then we move out, and for the final connection with the origin again, we just press enter. This gives us a pop-up box where we can change the zone name, and this time we can only change the height because we've put things in by freehand, so we know we've got the areas right. So there we are, we've now put in the zones, and let's have a look at it in 3D. By pressing the 3D button, we can move this window around, we can increase its size, we can zoom in on the area that we've done, we can also rotate the building. You'll see the green area is the office, and that's green because it's the one that we have selected at the moment on the main drawing screen. Now we're happy with that, we'll click OK. We've only drawn the geometry in 2 dimensions, but if you look at the layer that we've created, you'll find that Carbon Checker has added the ceiling and floor automatically. You can expand each of the menus by pressing the little plus buttons next to them. Now, although we've entered information about internal and external walls, Carbon Checker doesn't know which walls are adjacent to each other yet. In order to get Carbon Checker to calculate this, we need to use the adjacency tool up here, and we click on that to allow Carbon Checker to run an adjacency calculation. Once this is run, you'll see that the number of buttons to expand has greatly decreased, and those that are left with expansion buttons will show that there are adjacent walls there. So here, for example, you'll see the wall highlighted on the chart over here. Now, if we go back to area 3 and expand there and look at that one, we'll see again that it's highlighted the wall we're talking about, and it now shows that there's an adjacency between the office and the T area. So now all we have to do is add some windows and doors to the building. Let's select a wall here. You can see it highlighted in the black area, and we'll edit surface. We're now going to choose the door tool, click on that, and then click to drag to the size in the wall. We can amend this to 1 meter by 3 meter and click OK. We'll now put a window into another wall, so we'll right click again and edit surface, and this time we choose the window tool. Again, click and drag to put in the window, and again we can change the size if we wish. Click OK, and we now have a window in that wall. Let's now put a window into the toilet area. Again, edit surface, and this time we're going to use the percentage tool to say what percentage of cover we want the window to be. So click there, put in the window and the percentage we want, and then click OK. You can also add skylights, so let's put a skylight into the office area. Again, we edit the surface, choose the window tool and drag and click OK when we're happy with the size. We now need to complete the zone configuration by putting the zone activity in for each zone. We right click on the zone and edit the zone settings. We get a pop-up box and we can set the zone activity. Not surprisingly, the toilet is a toilet. Here we see the dimensions are the ones that we put in. And then we can either accept the air permeability settings there, or we could set them ourselves. We have other tabs here that allow us to look at the HVAC systems, and in the toilet we do have mechanical extraction. We don't need to change other of these settings over here, so we'll now look at lighting controls. And we have the option to have photoelectric or occupancy setting, but here we have none. So on to where we can enter information from lighting design, or put in the lumens per watt, or as in this case where we don't know that, we'll choose by looking at the lamp type. Select lamp type and OK. And now we can move on to setting the activity in the tea making area. Edit zone settings. In the pop-up we choose zone activity, and perhaps only in the UK could you find tea making as a zone activity. Click OK, and then finally we'll look at the activity in the office. Again, edit zone settings, and you'll notice that at the moment we still can't do the SBEM, but once we complete this bit by saying this is an open plan office, and now Run SBEM has gone green. Before we do that, however, let's have a look at our building to make sure that we've got it right. We'll look in the 3D area again. You can see we've now got a roof light and windows, and if we rotate the building, you can see the door we put in as well. So that appears to look correct. There's no gaps in the building, so we'll click OK. And now, before we run SBEM, we need to save the project. So we're going to call this example and click Save. And now we can press the Run SBEM calculation, and the program will ask us to confirm that we have saved it. We'll click Yes. It now asks us if we want to give a name to this run of the SBEM calculation, which can be useful in case you want to make amendments later and compare them to this particular configuration. So we'll type in a name there and click OK. The full SBEM calculation now starts to run. With complex buildings, this can take some time. We have a simple building, so it shouldn't take very long at all. And when the results are ready, we'll have a pop-up box that will give us those results and access to other information about them. So here's the result box with various information on it. We can see a summary of this particular calculation run, and if you were to run other calculations, you would have them down here as well, and you could compare the results. But now let's press the Energy Performance Certificate button to have a look at the EPC that's been generated. So if we expand this and then scroll down, you can see we've designed a reasonably efficient building in the standard EPC format. Now this has been produced by an accredited assessor, so it's unwatermarked, which means it's an official document and could be used as such. If we come out of that, we can also see other buttons such as the recommendation report. This advisory or recommendation report is of course part of the EPC process and needs to be given to the client with the EPC. Carbon Checker does allow you to amend the recommendations in the recommendations report, should you so wish. So now all that remains is to close this window, and then you can save the project, and that is a demonstration of a full project in Carbon Checker. Thank you for your interest in Carbon Checker. I hope that you found this project demonstration useful. And if you'd like more information, please visit our website at www.builddesk.co.uk.